Let's go over how to upload samples to the Roland SP-404SX and perform some basic volume and performance edits. If your Roland is new, you might want to first power up the unit by holding the Cancel button to turn off Protect mode. This will allow you to edit a few important parameters that we'll get to later. The SP-404SX plays back samples via an SD card, which is one of the reasons why I like this particular hardware sampler. The size of your sample storage is limited only by the size of your SD card. The card is found at the base of the unit, hidden by this protective plastic cover. Be sure to first loosen the screw that secures this cover before attempting to remove it. Remove the SD card and insert it into your computer to load the samples. I highly recommend using the Roland Wave Converter software to upload your samples. First, I'll choose the drive that I'd like to load the samples into. I've named my card SP-404SX, so I'll choose that. Next, choose a bank to load the sample into. The SP-404SX comes with 10 banks with 12 samples each. I'll stick with bank A to start with. Select the pad onto which you'd like to load the sample and click Import. Say yes to overwrite the sample that's at the pad. Alternately, you can first delete the sample that is currently assigned to that pad. I'll click Import, and I'm just going to re-upload the same sample that it was in there to begin with. There we go. Once you finish uploading samples to your pads, press Exit and eject the SD card. Reinsert it into the SP-404SX and replace the protective cover. Now, press the bank button of the sample that you'd like to edit. Press once to activate the first bank, and again to activate the next bank specified on the button. When you're using the second bank specified on the button, in this example, I'm choosing between either bank A or bank F, the button will flash. So right now I'm selected bank F because the button's flashing. If I press it again, I'm now selecting bank A. I highly recommend you turn off gate mode by pressing this button here. This has to be turned off on a per sample basis, so you have to do it for every single pad on every bank. Also make sure that reverse, loop, and lo-fi are turned off as well. You probably don't want your samples looping or reversed, and lo-fi is a bit of an audio degradation effect, and you might not want that as well. The best way to edit the level of a sample is to press the Start and Level Sample Edit button. The display will read Edit, and now you can use these top three knobs to adjust the start position, the end position, and the level of the sample. Don't confuse the level knob with the volume knob. The volume knob adjusts the volume of the entire SP-404SX, all of the samples on it, whereas the level knob is just the volume of each individual sample. I'll adjust the volume of sample 5. This will have to be turned on every time you switch a sample. See, as soon as I go over to this next sample, the sample edit will turn off. So let's turn it on for 5. And I'll adjust the level, and you'll see the numbers will specify from 0 to 127. That's my level range for each sample. My one main gripe about the SP-404SX is that you cannot see what number the level is set to until you turn the level knob. But when you turn the level knob, the volume of the sample jumps immediately to where the knob is set. So for example, I have the volume of this particular sample set to 100. Now, if I go and play another sample and I turn this knob and it's not doing anything right now, and I go back to 5 and I want to adjust the level again, as soon as I touch this knob, remember it was at 100 before. As soon as I touch this, it immediately jumps down to whatever this knob is set to. It's a bit of a pain, and it can make leveling on the fly in a marching rehearsal setting very tricky. If this is proving to be a problem for you, my recommendation is to keep track of these numbers on a separate spreadsheet and update these numbers as you go. Doing it this way will allow you to refer to the spreadsheet when, for example, the director decides that a certain sample, let's say A5, is too loud. You can reference the number you had it set to before. You can set the volume to that level where it started out at, and then you can adjust from that point. It's a bit of a workaround, I know, but it's the best way that I've found to manage that. That should be all the basics that you need to get you up and going with the SP-404SX. It's a pretty versatile sampler, and there's a lot more that it can do, obviously. We only scratched the surface, but this is about the extent as far as I've used it in a marching setting. Simple playback and simple volume adjustment.